What's going on, everybody? If you happen to be in the market for a sub $800 TIG machine at the time of shooting this video, well, this video might be for you, because AHP just sent me this AlphaTIG 203Xi, said, can you make a video about it? And I'm like, sure. So we're gonna see what comes in the box and explore some of the features this thing has. Okay, to start off, I'm gonna move it down here on the floor so we can see what we got. All right, starting off is, of course, the machine itself. The only other thing in the box is the manual, and then this box right here that I think has all the accessories in it. This looks like a little jumper, so you can plug into 110 if you want. Here is a regulator, so that's nice. So ball regulator, which is typical with TIG welding. And here's a finger switch. This would zip tie to your torch. Here is the actual torch. Looks like an air-cooled torch. Oh, it's actually a swivel torch. That's pretty cool. I was not expecting that. I've never used one of these, so that'll be cool. I gotta try this out, see if it's something I wanna run on other machines. Because you know the flex heads, you can only flex them so many times before they start breaking, but these, I have to see. It's interesting. Some accessories, just your consumable accessories, and then a couple back caps. Looks like there's two different sizes. Here's the stinger, because you can stick weld with this machine. Ground clamp. And last, but definitely not least, is the foot pedal. I was honestly not sure if this came with one for that price, but it does. This is the Nova foot pedal. It's like that standard sewing machine style. Low to the ground. The AlphaTIG 203Xi features their brand new rapid set function, which lets you completely set up the machine just by choosing your tungsten size and thickness of material. That works on AC and DC, as well as adjustable pulse, which also works on AC and DC. And it features fully adjustable AC frequency and AC balance settings. You get up to 140 amps on 120 volts, and then the full 200 amps on the 240 volts, and that works at a 60% duty cycle. So to test this thing out, I mentioned before that the AlphaTIG came with two different heads for this swivel torch. This is a 17 series head, and this is a 9. I like using the small heads most of the time, especially on water cooled. I think on air cooled, the 9 or the 20, which is the same size, is rated about up to 125 and maybe 250 on water cooled. But the 125 should be fine. We might be right around there during some of these because I do have some 1/8 inch plate over here, but it'd just be for a short amount of time, so it'll be fine. I just love the small heads, especially on water cooled, because you can see just how much smaller it is and less bulk to deal with. So let's hop over to the menu here and see all the features that this thing has. So when you first turn on the AlphaTIG, you'll see over here along this side is all the standard settings, the basic stuff, AC TIG, DC TIG, AC stick, and DC stick, and then this rapid set, which we're gonna take a look at in a little bit. Here in AC, you have all the tons of adjustability down here, and to cycle through that, pre-flow, post-flow, like I would probably run that a little higher, not extremely high on AC. Your start amps, so since we're set to pedal, that's the lowest the amps will be, which on AC, 20 is as low as you can go. The end amps, this is if you're in a two-step. The frequency, so this is if AC pulse, right now it's at 150 frequency. It's pretty high. So if you turn it all the way down to here, like as in 1, that'd be 1 pulse a second. The base amps of that pulse, and then how long the peak of the pulse is on, which is whatever your pedal is gonna be at right now. And then this is your basic AC balance. That's the frequency, and then the percentage. Coming down to DC, it's the same thing. You just don't have the AC adjustments, obviously, but all of these settings working the exact same way. So you have 7 seconds of post flow set up. It's the base amp, it's as low as it goes. And pulse frequency. So for here, if we want to weld at 0.5, you can do that. Or you can go a little higher. I don't do a ton of pulse at super high frequency, so this is probably about close to as high as I would go. Maybe a little higher if I was welding something super thin. If you want to adjust in either of these the way you're triggering it and not use the pedal, there's a remote button for that. So you got 2-step trigger, 4-step trigger with the pedal, or just a 2-step trigger, just the 4-step trigger, but always use the pedal. And this is our minimum amps. If you want to adjust the peak amps on either of these, works just like this. So now we're at 120, I just bumped it. And obviously you can go all the way up to 200 on the AlphaTIG. So I have a few blanks here, some mild steel and some aluminum ones. I'm gonna weld them up. And one of the features I'm really excited to try out on the AlphaTIG is the rapid set. So to do that, you just go into the menu right here and hit the rapid set button, and it brings up this whole different menu. So over here is tungsten. I actually have 332nd tungsten in the torch right now, so I'm gonna switch over to that. And then the steel, the mild steel plates I have are 14 gauge, so I can adjust that by just bumping this over here. And then it's recommending 70 amps. I think that's a max, like that's where you'd be flat-footed out at, because it doesn't care what setting you have it in. Even on a hand trigger, it wants 70 amps, which would make sense. But since I'm running a pedal, I like a little bit more headroom to, you know, have a little bit above it. So it has this little gauge here, 70's right in the middle. And as I jump it up, it shows you, it's like, okay, 80's as high as we're gonna let you go. I don't think I'm gonna notice as big of a difference in welding steel. I'm gonna take it off rapid set and just try it with some normal settings. One thing I do want to up a little bit is the post flow and the peak amps. Yeah, not a huge difference, pretty much just the amount of post flow and your amperage adjustments. Smooth, stable arc with both methods. There's no AC balance to mess with, so it doesn't have any of that to adjust. Now it works the same if I want to jump down to AC. I want to go to AC TIG with the rapid set. And this time I have 1/8" aluminum. So I'm gonna set back to 332nd. I have a different piece of tungsten in here. It's a little bit more blunt tip. And then I'm gonna go to 1/8. Now it's saying 125, which is right at what you typically run 1/8 at. And like I said, I want that little bit more of a headroom. So I don't know if I need to go all the way up to 135. I'm gonna say 130. Okay, first thing I noticed right away is that when you have the AHP set in rapid set, it completely takes care of all the settings for you. AC balance, your recommended amps and everything. It overrides any settings you've already had in there and does what it thinks. It produced a nice weld. It's a little bit lower of a frequency sounding than what I normally weld in. So if I wanted to adjust manually, I have to take it out of rapid set and then come over here, and you can see right now I'm in 120 hertz for the frequency, and then my balance is set to 30%, and that's 30% electrode positive. Some machines display this backwards and they show the percentage of electrode negative. So if you have one of those machines, this would be the equivalent of 70% on the ones that show it the other way. And I have another piece here that I'm gonna weld up, and you should be able to immediately hear the difference. Yeah, so right there, just looking at the two welds, you really can't tell how one was welded, but obviously there's a big difference in feel and the way the puddle was forming, so a lot of that's preference in what you're welding. But that's gonna do it for my overview of the AlphaTIG 203Xi. I mean, this is a really capable little machine, and for under $800 or US dollars as far as filming this right now, I think it's a great value. Hopefully I went over some of the features that it has. I mean, it's not really missing any. It's got a lot of cool little features, especially in this price point. It's pretty impressive. Thank you to AHP for sponsoring this video. If you're interested in any of the products they have to offer, I'll leave a link to them down below. If you're new to my channel, I'm Justin Voss. I make welding and fabrication videos here on YouTube. Probably have a project coming up where I'll use this machine again. So if you want to see more of that, please consider sticking around and subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.